All right, ready or not, EOC tomorrow. So you have a max of it is I think the full 4 hours. Occasionally someone does, but usually not so much. You have a max of 4 hours for the EOGs, for science, eighth grade math, ELA, it's a maximum of 3 hours. Okay, so they but there is a maximum of 4 hours for the EOC. All right, let's start with this one here. We got a town with a population of 150,000 people. It's increasing by 2.6% each year. We need to know which function can model the population after X years. So all these today are going to be stuff that could be on the inactive. The fun part with the stuff on the inactive, obviously, then it could also be on the active. So it kind of goes both ways. Problems like this easily could be active or inactive. Give me the function. Brian? Alright, so we got 150,000 and we got 1.06 in parentheses to the x power. So I would guess almost all of you, that's what you had. Yeah? So we're pretty good with those. I would assume it's increasing, so we add that 2.6% to 100, change it to a decimal. That's how we get the 1.026. Probably 1.26 will be an answer choice. Just careful with that one. The other possibility, always on ones like these, that could also be what the answer is that they would give you, okay? Because it says, well, I didn't phrase it that way. Sometimes it'll be phrased like which function will show the population in thousands, okay? And what that would do is that would show an answer in thousands. So 150 would be 150,000. If you plugged in a number and you got 200, that would be 200. Either of those could be a possible. Solve that a positive solution there. Specifies positive solution because positive and negative number of the same number would be a solution. So. Emma, what you got? 5 is correct. I can show you this 2 different ways, depending on which way you want to look at it, okay? We can either move things away from the x to solve it, or I can move things towards the x and solve it. If we move things away, we do opposite. So I add 39 to each side. I add 39 to each side, I get x squared equals positive 25. Get rid of x squared, take the square root of each side. When we take the square root, you're looking at what number times itself equals that number. 25 is 5 times 5, or negative 5 times negative 5. Since it was the positive solution, our answer we're looking for is positive 5. I said I could go the other way also. I can move things towards the x squared. Again, if I'm moving from one side to the other, I do opposite. So I add 14. In this case, now I got x squared minus 25 equals 0. And what I'm looking for is basically I'm finding zeros. So if I looked at that as like a magic X, and I saw a couple of y'all doing it this way, we're looking for what multiplies to make negative 25, but adds to make 0. Well, that's a negative 5 and a positive 5. You know, if I had it factored, it'd be like x minus 5, x plus 5. You know, when you have the b cancel out, that's what you're going to have is a number times opposite our positive 0 in this case. Basically, I think just as easy one way or the other, so whichever way. Find f of 3. I'd say very good chance you got to plug in some sort of exponential function. Make sure you know how to. Adrian, what you got? 33 is correct. So we plug in the 3 for each of the x values. So I got 3 to the third power plus 2 times 3. 3 to the third power is 3 times 3 times 3. 3 times 3 is 9. 9 times 3 then is 27. 2 times 3 is 6. 27 plus 6, 33. Everybody go with that one? A little trickier, possibly. The height of the ball, X seconds after it was kicked. We want to know how long is the ball in the air. Very good odds there's something on your EOC where you're going to have to find a 0 on the inactive. Probably more than one problem. Faith, what you got? 2 is correct. Some of y'all that were having a harder time with it, you're trying to do the x right away. Always try to factor out things, okay? What do both of those have in common? 16. We can go as high as 16. You can do it in pieces if you need to. We can go 2 at a time, right? So you could keep factoring out 2 until you can't anymore. You would eventually get all 16 out. Or if you see 16 right away, I would start with 16. Negative, okay? Take out an x, okay? So if I factor out negative 16x, what's left on the inside? If I take negative 16x away from that, there's just an x there. It changes that to a minus, and the last part to a 2. So when I factor that out, what we're looking for is what makes each piece equal to 0. Well, what makes this first piece equal to 0? What times negative 16 is 0? 0. And that's where the ball starts, on the ground at 0. What makes x minus 2 equal to 0? 2. Everybody follow on that? So, kind of fairly easy way to do that. Other problem, like when you're making the x, because what you would have is on top you have a times c. Your c value is 0. So that's kind of what causes a little bit of the headache with it. To start with is you have one of your zeros is 0. And that's because you can factor out that x. Other thing you can look at on this one. Ball starts on the ground, right? We know that because the c value is 0. So if it starts on the ground and it ends up on the ground, when does it reach its maximum? Well, halfway, right? No matter where it ends up, even on a different problem like this, if it starts on the ground and ends on the ground, halfway is where it reaches its maximum. Everybody follow on that? No matter what. So if you want to know where it hits the ground, you can do opposite of b over 2a, and that's going to tell you how long it takes to get there, and you just double it. So if I did opposite of b over 2a, that gave me 1, and then, so it takes 1 second to get to the maximum, and then that means it's going to take 1 more second, 2 seconds total. Everybody kind of follow on that? So if I would change that to 64, we do the same basic idea. We got, this time it'd be 64 over negative 32, or negative 64 after we change it. Negative 64 over negative 32. So that'd take 2 seconds. That means it's going to be 4 seconds to hit the ground. See what I'm saying? That only works if it starts on the ground. Anything once it starts getting up off the ground, just go like, oh, it went halfway. Follow?